Hey, what's going on, folks? This is Keith and you're watching Barbara's Auto Help. This video is a video of how I did a little bit of hack engineering, if you would. I don't necessarily, actually I don't at all recommend that anybody follow these procedures to repair their own vehicle, but I've got a '05 Honda Odyssey. It's a Generation 3 Odyssey, or third generation Odyssey, and it's got 3.5 liter in it. And I've developed some oil leaks on the back cylinder head towards the back there. And one of the oil leaks was my VVT solenoid, variable valve timing solenoid, and there's a gasket that goes in between the two halves of the body of the VVT solenoid, and they don't provide that gasket. So to repair that on my vehicle, my intentions were to get by replacing the whole valve, which is about $600 plus from the dealership. And the way I did that was using RTV to reseal the existing gasket. This is not a good idea for most people. Actually, I wouldn't recommend anybody do this except for myself. I was successful. By the way, I filmed this about a month ago and I haven't had any problems out of it. That being said, when you watch this video, I would just use it as an information source, not necessarily a how-to video on how to fix this leak. The actual repair for that leak is to replace the whole VVT solenoid as an assembly. Now, like I said, the dealership has it for around 600 plus bucks. You could probably find it online for $200 to $300 roughly, aftermarket. But anyway, like I said, this is just this video is just for information purposes and entertainment purposes. You'll probably get a little kick out of seeing me do this. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into it, guys. Appreciate you watching. So here's the valve, and we're going to go ahead and take these 10mm bolts right here. That's what holds the two halves of the housing together, and we're going to loosen them up. We're going to attempt to. It's a little tight. There, I had to bust them loose off camera. Got them loose. I'm going to go ahead and take the bolts out. Take them out all the way there. Now these bolts are different lengths. You got two the same size, one shorter, and you can see on the side here that you got different depths for the bolt holes there. I'm going to try to separate our two halves of the housing. I'm just going to take a screwdriver right in between there and pry it out a little bit. It felt like it broke loose. Don't be that way now. Come on. There we go. And there is the gasket. Now, for the life of me, I don't know why Honda does not make that gasket available. It's pretty easy to disassemble this thing and get to it, but they don't offer it. And you can see the thing is hard as a rock. It gets hard just like the other one here and causes a leak there. If you're familiar with VTEC solenoids, on the older Hondas, these things get hard as a rock and they just start leaking. So you can see that this gasket is pretty well stuck to the surface there. So I'm going to take this razor blade and kind of very gingerly try to work it in between that gasket and the housing there without breaking the gasket, because I'm going to try to reuse this thing, and you'll see what I'm doing here in just a minute. But be very, very careful, don't break it. And try not to scratch the surface of your housing too. There we go. I successfully got it dislodged from the housing there. Set that off to the side. I'm going to take the halves of the housing and just spray them off real good with some brake clean. Get all that oil off of them. Same thing with the gasket. Clean it up really good. Set it off to the side, let it dry. And I can see that I'm getting this on the hood of my Bonneville there. I don't care about my Bonneville. So that's why I'm doing that. Set that off to the side there. Okay, just a little side note, guys. When I refer to this thing as the VVT solenoid, it's actually a compilation of several different parts. You got your solenoid right here, and then you got your spool valve inside there. And you got your other part of your housing where your pressure switch goes into. So it's actually a compilation of several different parts. When you go to buy this, if you go in there, you tell them that you need your VVT solenoid for the back head, and you should get this part here. And I should have a part number down in the description below for this thing to help you out when you're trying to buy this. Alright, so I have all my parts cleaned up and I've got them good and dry. I blew them off with some air, and they're clean, and now I'm ready to assemble. Now guys, before I do this, I do want to express this to you. I do have some concerns. First of all, I don't know if this is going to work or not. Second thing I have a concern about is I'm going to use some RTV to reseal this existing gasket. The RTV kind of goops up a little bit, and there is a possibility that that RTV could get into the oil system somehow. I'm going to be very use this very sparingly so that I'll prevent that from happening. Hopefully this will work for me, and like I said, I don't know if it's going to work or not. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some gray RTV, and I'm going to place a little bit on my finger here, just like that. I'm going to take this gasket here and just lightly coat it with the RTV. I'm not really going to get super crazy with it, but I'm just going to coat this whole thing front and back with some RTV. You can see it's getting in that hole there. You don't want RTV in that hole. You got to be careful. Alright, so I got that side pretty well coated. I'm going to go ahead and place it inside this part of the housing here. Take a little bit more of it, kind of fill in the blanks on this. Here I'm going to try to remove some of this from the inside because I don't want to get RTV down in those holes there. Alright, and then I'm going to rejoin the two halves of our housing. I'm going to stick this thing back together. This is how it goes right here. Just going to place it onto the other housing there, other part of the housing. Squeeze it together. Squeeze it together, squeeze it together. Alright, we'll take our bolts. Remember, we got two different sizes. Two are long and one is short. The long one goes in these, and the short one goes in that one. Now this RTV cures in 24 hours. So once I put this valve back on, I'm going to let it sit for 24 hours before I crank the engine up. Go ahead and torque these bolts down here. I'm snugging them up. Not too tight. These are small bolts. We don't want to strip them out. You see your RTV is kind of oozing out just a little bit there. By the way, that happens on the inside too. That's the concern I had. You see right here, you look inside there, that could potentially get in your oil system. Now as for this gasket here that bolts up to the cylinder head, this is available all day long at the dealership. They range from 25 to 30 bucks. This one cost me 27 bucks. Okay guys, I appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions, comment below. Thanks.